So understanding your one-sided versus another side, your personal preference, yes?
Hmm.
But can you see how any of these have a significance in life? To scrap it all and get rid of all of it
Hmm.
might not be the thing, right? Sleep, do you think it plays a role?
Right now, it definitely plays a
Right
role.
now it does,
Yeah.
yes. And when do we usually activate this lethargic state, laziness? During the winter, perhaps? During extreme heat, yes. That's if you transition into another one, but extreme cold, I think is more so. So perhaps it activates this in the natural kingdom. It seems to just slow everything down.
Yeah, and in extreme heat, it's different
There's still
climate.
it's
Yeah.
still utilizing an old tactic. That would then state that evolution can only go to a certain. So it travels away from a center point and reaches a buffer zone and tries to use these to go forwards, right? And it might fail at that. However, you can always go back to the center, which means that it had to utilize energy in order to make conditions predict it in this particular way, yes? And then it goes back. So the environment was full of vitamin C. Hmm? That's interesting. Your bodies knew how to make vitamin C.
Hmm.
Yes? So they believe vitamin C.
Yeah.
So if we put vitamin C in it, yeah,
Hmm.
so your body was naturally making this.
Yeah.
And again, in some particular chain of events, your body stopped producing it. Now that's interesting. That's just saved some energy. That energy can then go on to doing what? What was it toning down and firing up to? And we see diseases, right? So
Hmm.
perhaps we need more of this energy for immunity. Does it put it into the immune system? And again, this is a question that you couldn't ask over long periods of time, right?
Yeah.
But we started eating more vitamin C.
Hmm.
We started ingesting a lot more.
Hmm.
So we were still getting the same amount of input now
Yeah.
from an external force, being vitamin C from, I don't know, orange, yeah,
Hmm.
lems,
Hmm.
XYZ. List is incredible, but even still, in trace amounts. Pine needle tea, all sorts, weird and wonderful stuff, right? So
Yeah.
your body didn't have it to begin with in order to function. Evolution kick-started and said, let's make vitamin C then.
Hmm.
But then the environment began to provide a lot of vitamin C,
Hmm.
and then your evolution could save the energy to prevent disaster because now it's coming in. The energy's been freed up. Okay, that's a chain in an evolution tick. It is sustainable. Okay, got some energy. What's it going to move on to? It's going to be like, whoa, I got a lot of energy. Maybe I should holiday. It's probably not doing that. It's probably thinking, okay, maybe I can increase the energy here. So we often look, the vitamin C will stop being produced, but in that ratio, there must be a four. What picked up elsewhere during the diminishment of that? There must be something else that's peaked.
Yeah.
That's an interesting sort of way to look at things, isn't it? And the more you begin to shut down, do I need to protect against the skin? No. Environment is stable across the whole of the species because it's a guess and check. Variable versus, well, it's not happening across here, is it?
Hmm.
And you always get a few false positives, right?
Yeah.
So if you've only got a few in society, that's a false positive.
Hmm.
It's when everything lifts and everything is reaching that level, that turns that false positive into, whoa, something has triggered. Okay, right. They're working out this part of it. What else? And as you begin to continue on this process, which inevitably gives you longer life,
Hmm.
what more energy has it got to pick up on? And then is it a careful pattern recognition to be able to see these next increases? And if we learn from this process, can we then begin to diminish these things in order for it to save energy for what? And then more things appear. Okay, eliminate those. And slowly but surely, this force begins to teach you exactly what you need by this. Which, ironic, you've got computer technology. Can you not factor this into creating an environment that constantly self-fulfilling gives you this in a prophecy? Repeatedly, over and over, that at the most best optimal operating capacity. And then what does that leave evolution to do then? Every time it's given energy, it seems to utilize this in other aspects. And then are we telling it information, which you could say is humans? Are we telling our core information that we might not be able to understand you, but we see something? And then does this process get quicker and quicker and quicker and then faster and faster to evolve? Evolve into what is the question? And even then, you don't make it through a cycle, yeah? Could you imagine sleeping through all of that tone down? Encoded into, I don't know, we could take squirrels as a nice example of this. Spend a long time storing up stuff. Long time. We did too. Long time, yeah? Bringing in life forms, animals, bringing them back to a shelter. A shelter, important.
Yeah.
Bringing all of this abundance back into the shelter. And during the longer period, could we make do off of all of that stuff without ever needing to go? And if the answer in some ways is yes, that's a fascinating pattern. Then next phase. Well, intelligent, you're going to start to reach for space.
Yeah.
What process does that teach you again? Well, to gather a lot of stuff, information, in order to bring back into a shelter that you can utilize through these particular times.
Yeah.
Before a transition. It's fascinating when you go back with a piece of life form. It doesn't matter what it is. It's give you the blueprints all the way back. If you were able to expand that, clone it, and if you believe in cloning, you're looking at life forms perhaps with different variations, but even still. So we know that there's a way to make an artificial diamond and there's a way to make a real one. What is real? Well, we'll call natural. Okay, that's natural to a degree of what consequences? Are those natural, or was it barely clinging to be a diamond? Is there anything more that we could do, that we could enhance that to make a super diamond? The answer is yes, quite clearly. Well, you need numbers and you need to use your brain, which is basically fast-drive evolution. But there is a catch to this. Excuse me. When you follow it back, something else is pulling on the other side. Do you think that's fascinating too? It's almost like a middle zone, but it teaches you to make a middle zone. Do you ever think that, yes, sure, stars create universe, and you take a piece of information and you go back as far back as you possibly can. You clone it because everything else around you is cloning, so this tells you that it's possible. The universe comes from a singularity. Now imagine if you go all the way back to hydrogen, right? And then you can expand this hydrogen. Now, what were the conditions of the universe? Well, maybe it was like this. In that time of the winter months, you will start running simulations, different things like that, gathering your resources and everything else, trying to model it, which therefore teaches you how to predict it. But what say that following the instinct, and if instinct true be a signal, something to go into the next cycle with an open mind, what if you take that model and just before it reaches the end of the cycle, before it transitions back into abundance again, that you take that piece of life, go all the way back to hydrogen, clone it, expand it, and then put it into an arena like a universe. And it's a smaller scale, so yours is going to be a lot quicker than this. And you start the processes off inside that, which then helps you understand when this is, which will then give you time, an accurate time of when. And that would be all done based upon predictions, yes? which would then make you ask whether life is more older than it actually is. Now, how could this be? So we take a look at DNA, right? And if we took a look at the DNA of other species elsewhere on other planets, if we found them, maybe they're no existing today, but let's just say that we take a piece of bone and we go backwards. We're able to bring this up, but they've got something unique in their database, which is eerily similar to our database. What happens if you mosh some of that into your database? Don't want all the rest of that noise, because often than not, there seems to be a lot of noise, but these good traits that they had that we never saw, could we mush that into ours?
Yeah.
And then going forwards, how does that look? Oh, well, that's interesting. Let's give us these extra gifts. That's a fascinating sort of process. Fast forward with this process, and let's say that you're not 100% sure that you're going to outlive this universe. How do you make sure that the universe next time actually is guaranteed to recreate you every single time? Well, it'd be about these ancient little life forms, right? Which you would start thinking. Would you think that life seems to, these packets of data, of information, seem to remain as like little breadcrumbs, little pieces, remnants? And imagine if you can go back and you can expand what this is. Can you recreate it? If you assume to find a collapsed biome somewhere, you need one tiny piece of fragment, piece of the puzzle, to go backwards, expand it at the point of backwards. There's no more backwards you can go physically or realistically or logically makes sense to go back any further than that, and expand all of it what it is. Give it the same conditions of what you believe it to be. Do you think you could recreate all of the life from that? Because the funny thing is that all of the pieces of information are already here. Does that make sense? That it knows how to...
Yeah, there's a history in our DNA and information, isn't it, and everything.
So how, if this is a process of following this piece of information, how could you guarantee, if you were a life form, to bring back... Intelligent life forms would be looking into this, right? You are already. You'd be looking into these data. What the hell is all of this information? What's it storing it for? That's the visible. Where's the invisible part of this? Which a nifty trick, if and only if. Could you imagine etching life form was like this here? And if there was lots of these packets of information, mass amounts of it, put into this database that you can't see, is there a high chance that if it all goes fuckery and everything dies in the process, that the maximum amount of packs of information guarantee the next emergence? Which then means you'll need longer time. And in it, maybe, possibly, you're able to etch in certain types of, memory, that is strategically designed to come. So that what you learn in 5 billion years as a species, you fast forward it. But you can't fast forward it within time, but you can fast forward it within the individual nodes, right? That they receive this information over a lifetime. Because it got me thinking about this, right? So dreams, yeah? You have a dream and it felt like the whole night, yes? Have you ever had a dream that you sort of go to bed, enter into this state of dream, and you also wake up with it? When did that dream occur?
Yeah, I had some when I was a kid.
Why does it feel that the dream starts here and ends here? So therefore, what's the time perception of your brain at that ratio? Is the brain slowing down or is it speeding up? Well, if it's played that memory to you like that, how many times has it swiped that into you? Because after all, it's a thought. You've created a memory. Or have you?
But sometimes it's something you didn't think about and you don't remember it. Dream is something maybe you did like a year ago or something, because in the morning you wake up and you're like, what was that about?
Right, but how long does it feel? Is there time from dream to dream? Have you felt a short dream or a long dream?
Yeah.
You have actually felt a long...
And continuous dream that is like coming from one to another, where you appear in different settings, sort of, where you come from one another, or something really short and then you wake up because it was scary and you just...
Another question then. Now I'm going to assume that the continuous dream is a variable. It only happens once in a blue blip, but it does happen to you, yeah?
Yeah, I had some.
Far less than dreaming.
Then some
Standard.
Then some shorter ones, or you don't remember the rest, maybe.
Now, what gives you the awareness to understand the length of time that's passed?
I don't know.
What are you gauging it on? How can you tell a long dream to a short dream?
It's just the story that happens in it. It seems short or it seems long,
So short
but
dream
you don't know.
is going to be in what? Short-term memory. A longer feeling dream operates through the brain in long-term ratio. So that we might have two categories of types of dreaming,
that can,
yes, which then might alter the perceived ratio of time, yes?
Yeah.
So in your lifetime, is it possible then, and looking at a whole lifetime, a whole life traveled from point A to B, that took 80 years for Einstein to, let's just say for argument's sake, 80 years for Einstein to learn this much. In 80 years, how can I speed that process up? Which would then make me ask another question, if reincarnation and anything be true. Could I make Einstein learn 80 years worth of knowledge in 40 years? Therefore, giving him an excess of 40 years extra. Which could be an interesting process. Now, let's say if we do that process again, what about if we could speed it up so that you could learn it within 20 years? It's the same vessel. We're going to speed up an awful lot to even be able to capture that. But there is a different outcome each and every single time because of the way the environment. That's a fundamental thing. So if it comes from internally, it's a little bit more shaped differently. It doesn't have the effects of the external world playing a role on the internal world. Kind of shields it. That is interesting. And then when you bring it through, the outside world begins to attack it, which is natural, and then it begins to shape it. So I'm leaning heavy in one aspect and another, but again, you start to then get a definition. But often than not, because reality affects you, that might shape that thought. If interfered with this, but if it's conjured here, then passed through. That's despite it. So anyway, short-term, long-term memory, that's a fascinating thing. So therefore, your perceived perception of time might be based on that then, yes? So it'd be like etching then, wouldn't it? So, if you wanted to get past the time barrier and you were perhaps rose up towards the end and towards the winding down of a universe, what would be your go-to intelligence? Logically, you wouldn't have enough resources, so you'd have to live within your means, which would be very small, which could also mean mighty, but there again, maybe not. Not enough shaping this time. Brilliant amount of intelligence. What would you understand? More about yourself. Why? Because there's less to look out at. Well, you can look out, but it's pretty barren. It's like a desert in certain circumstances. It's worse than a desert. So what do you think this would naturally make a being do? Look inwards. And in looking inwards, would they spend more time looking inwards? As a result of that, some spend more time looking outwards. They would probably understand themselves far better, because that would be the only interesting thing that actually stands out. Probably relationships would also alter, assuming that they had relationships. Would be highly significant, sacred. Interesting. Very interesting. In this process of looking inwards, would they look at this ratio of information? It's etched into them. And if you understand, if all life can go backwards and transition backwards and backwards and no matter whether you go forwards or backwards, you always come to forwards and also backwards. This is an interesting, not an end, a transition. A cycle flip.
Yeah.
Like the stars flip.
Mm-hmm.
Pole to pole. A moment of reversal. Could you etch into the packets of life and mass produce these, and therefore do you get the first in line? Because then you become a blueprint, right? And then does this alter a lot of competition? Will it rise the same way?
Yeah.
Cool. And then how many variations on that life could you have? In multiple. So we look at this with the seasons, right? So being able to make it have a harvest festival once every day.
Yeah.
Could you do it once per hour? I'm not asking whether you should, I'm asking whether you could. Could you do one per minute? Harvest festival, every minute on the planet, there is an abundance of what farmers grow in a year. Could you do it? Do you think humanity has the capability that if they wanted to, they could do something like that?
Yeah.
What about per second?
I don't know about that.
Nanoseconds.
What would you do?
Well, what would you do? Naturally, you would expand into that. You'd see potential in it. That's an interesting process, right? So you can do this. Yeah, you can build an environment that makes it happy for the explosion. That's interesting. That's a lot of clones then, yeah?
Yeah.
Or a lot of variations.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to use one strain of seed? No, we want to use them all. Why? Because we fucking can. You think after building all of this, we just want one strain in there? No, 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 no.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one. Wait, what? Yep, every single one. What's that one over there? That's kind of genetics. If you could take nature back far enough, what could you do with that mixing? Could you mix something else? Could you do that yourself?
Yeah.
Could you take what you believe were the building blocks of life, zap these with a few lightning elsewhere? Well, who knows? Fuse these together. If it began to change, given enough time. Oh, okay, we're going to leave you asking a lot of questions. Doesn't rule a lot out. Fascinating. Now, you do that a few more times, and that becomes every day. But now can you begin to mix it? What happens if you take all the good bits out of these, combine them together? That's essentially what's happening, isn't it? The visible with the invisible.
Yeah.
How long could you really survive like that? Well, interesting, fascinating, very, very fascinating. So yeah, I was just looking at certain things like that. I don't know why, because it just makes sense that our receptors shut things down and open things up quite a lot throughout history. It seems to be this process. Now, sleep during the dark times, do you think it could be done? Do you think you could then alter time perception by slowing down? And then how slow is that memory processing through the brain in order for you to have a dream? Now, it doesn't seem slow. It seems like the process is slow,
Yeah.
but the information that it gets is much more.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because it's unlimited, right? You might do things in this particular dream that you can't do in reality. But the mind doesn't care. It's not really showing you that, is it? It might crank it up a little bit. You ever tripped up in your dream and jolted yourself awake?
Yeah. Yeah. Or you falling, remember that feeling?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fascinating, isn't it? Now, what is the speed of that thought? Because that's all it is, really. And
Mm.
again, is it something that the brain was like, you know what, I'm going to save this one for later? Yeah, this seems like an awesome. Yes, it doesn't make much sense, don't get me wrong. But how do you not know that it isn't making sense? Because it's shaping your inner.
Mm. Mm. I'm
Just
wondering.
like reality comes in
Yeah.
and shapes your, what do you call it, your life. We already see this with behavior, yes? And you're sleeping because of this reason, you've got to shut down for the environment, la di da di da 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 da. We're living in a time of abundance. We notice the pattern of squirrels collecting, taking away, bringing back to the house. We do this stuff, we bring stuff to the house. Somewhere where we believe that's safe versus somewhere that actually is safe. Yeah. And you start to build a stable environment, not just one, but multiple. How many could you make?
Mm. Yeah.
And therefore you'd be cloning the planet, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One that's, blueprint, but this one's better.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, of course. And then the next model, this one's even better. And then the next model. I don't think nature's going to care. I think it's going to love that. I think any other life forms are going to love that as well, because that's. How many of these planets could you actually make?
Mm.
Yeah, this many Earths fit into Jupiter's red spot. Man, yes, I love that, but also, how many Earths could we make out of that? Or this many? Why aren't we?
Mm.
Perfecting, crafting, What type of existence do you think would that blow your fucking mind? Well, you would know no different if you were born into it. It'd just be natural, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And how would you explain that? By the way, this is all natural. It's natural. It's natural for us. Museums would be actually feel it, walk through it. This refrigerator mimics an ice age. These were their summers. This is what gravity feels like. Oh. What, and they didn't notice? No. Oh, that feels heavy. Well, assuming that they don't evolve by this point, but still. Mm. So do you think then tapping into dream state,
Mm-hmm.
well, maybe you survive it. Maybe you collect all of these resources,
Yeah.
but it's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way that you could be fed while in suspended animation? And the alarm clock being your little evolution. Because if you think about it, sleep long term, yes, do not die, no, but also clone in this state.
Mm-hmm.
You must have understood a way to make the environment perfect enough to sustain you.
Yeah.
Keeps you in torpor.
Mm-hmm.
And then when something happens, evolution gets panicked by it, which then triggers you out of your slumber. I mean, that would be brutal for life forms to do that, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But I don't know what would be more difficult, staying awake through that season. That's quite a bit of time. It's not that long, but and there again, could you use this to keep you alive in a suspended state? I mean, that's a weird sort of process, and then it might make sense as to why evolution seems to have turned off certain receptors, and this seems to be increasing. Well, you can look at that as an intelligent point, can't you, and say, okay, so if that was more into the diet, that takes care of this, right? Okay, next one. This one's increasing. Where do we get that from? I've seen this. This one. Let's introduce this, right? Seems all right. It drops off. Then something else picks up. And slowly but surely you begin to shape an environment that's tailored to you. And I mean, I wonder what that looks like. Versus ones that don't have it versus ones that do have it. Which then gives choice for each side to feel the opposite.
Yeah.
Which one achieves more clearer thought? You sort of remember it, but don't feel it. That would probably be a better rule.
Yeah.
This stuff you feel. Yeah, that's survival, isn't it? And then other life forms. Panicking. Maybe not. Let's see if everyone's separate in that aspect. But yeah, no, well, you can all come together with a few individuals that come together. They want to play around with some glass. Also want to play around with some big ass massive old loaves of bready steam engine-y type things. Some others that want to understand how to make glass self-seal. You know, when they come and inject it on auto glass, yeah?
Yeah.
You know, or you just replace your glass for you. That's pretty fucking good, that is. Oh yeah, it's like this, this, and this. So let me get this straight. If we were to trap that in between two layers of glass, thick glass, and smashed it with something, it would seal itself. Oh,
That's interesting.
it's got to be worth it. Now, am I right to assume that's reacting with the oxygen? Fascinating. So it's like self-sealing glass. Yeah, interesting. And then some individuals that are really good with a veg of all types.
Yeah.
And then if you think about that, that would be a hell of a... Yeah, we're going to put the glass inside the module, and then some other people that are really good with vacuum.
Yeah.
Robotics. To harvest all of this stuff out of here. Now, could you imagine if next ones were capable of seeing this and going, I wonder if we could make that go to space, stabilize it. And then another group sees it and goes, I wonder if we could make that float on ocean.
Yeah.
So no matter which way that tumbles around, no matter what that hits, no matter what it does, it will always maintain a medium environment inside of growing, Then can you compact it more? And what happens if we could make it taller, smaller, larger? Can we expose some of this glass to make it illuminate? Can we give different pressure? Can it be fully maintained? It just needs the very simplest of resources going in to maintain it, and what it produces out can also be anything disregarded, be put back into the system. Try and get it to be self-fulfilling as much as possible. Got some individuals that understand robotics to harvest, to cut, some others that know how to clean. How do you clean all of that on the inside of there? Many different teams of people working together to achieve something like that. And how many can you make? Is it flood proof? Yes. Is it earthquake resistant? Then can it be? Can you put this in space? The answer is another team gets around it. Well, we'll take this. We'll understand its weight ratio, where it changes, different things like that. Yeah, I can counter this into something else and put a whole apparatus that makes that stay steady. Factor that in with the team working with the ones who put it in the ocean. I've learned a lot. And you want to see that thing tumble. but the outcome is always the same no matter what throws is thrown at it. If you put it in a desert, does it still maintain? The answer's got to be yes. It's got to be go anywhere. 4 seasons to maintain a season. And then can you make it bigger?
Mm-hmm.
Can you make it like a block of flats? Can you live in between this? Can it generate energy at the same ratio? Can it wisely utilize that energy for maximum growth and for maximum convenience?
Yeah.
Before you know it, you're already building new societies that are all built around this. Can it be low energy? Can it be well maintained? Can it be self-maintained? Can it be autonomous?
Mm-hmm.
Can people with sensors come out and check to see,
Yeah.
there's a burst here, okay, shut down with the most convenience that you can create. It just channels it another way, but still supplies a feed.
Mm-hmm.
Can these areas inside it be maintained? If anything is vented out and leaked, that's looked at as a precious resource, can it go back into the system in a safer manner?
Yeah.
And then followed by a quick clean through there.
Mm-hmm.
Replaced, done, fixed, sorted.
Yeah.
Anything that's taken from there, can it be automatically recycled and put back into the system? I mean, that's a pretty interesting sort of way of existing, isn't it? And does it guarantee your future? I think it does. And anything you buy from there, assuming that that's the way you go, has all of that wrapped around it. Version 2, right? Rather than growing things in some of these, can you also put things that are habitats, houses?
Mm-hmm.
Do they withstand space? Are they made on a magnetic plate? And your clothing is woven with some of this, so that it allows you to artificially mimic gravity, not 100%, but a smaller amount. Man, that would support you to do a lot, wouldn't it? Can you get your robots to work harder, to learn all of this data as you build it?
Yeah, you can.
And as it does, can it set to work on a mission
Mhm.
to keep building these over and over so you don't have to? And then what are you going to do with all of that mindset? Well, you're not going to quit. You're not going to. No. You can adjust your mindset, can't you? You can think onto other things.
Mhm.
Now that the bots are taking care of that, what do you need more of to maintain this? More robots. What do robots need then? Well, it depends on how they're made. One might actually figure out how to make a robot. The next group have a look and they say, yeah, go on, do what you need to do. Now I'm going to put a jacket on you. What's your jacket made out of? Solar panel, my friend. As long as there's light, this will work. Maybe someone will see that and say, where do you plan on sticking this? On a hot? Maybe I can make the shield work so that it allows the light through, which also allows the... Maybe not. Maybe collapsing the atmosphere is probably an easier approach, but you know. These things then begin to get on with more things. And now you've got two making this particular thing, which there again it starts to expand more so. Food is coming in like a fucking abundance. Water is being purified through this sort of stuff. Guarantees for a future, absolutely. And whilst you're thinking up of the next thing, you've now learned how to gather the resources in order to put into making, mass producing these robots. They're much more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
You've done it once, you've taught the robots. Now what does it do? Well, it now knows how to go and get some of these. So you can spare a few off of these to go and help build these ones, which are then building these, which then begins slow and then mass expansion.
Yeah.
That's intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking smart, but not working hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a fascinating sort of environment. And then that moves you on to next phase, isn't it? And then, well, what can I think about next while doing this? What else? Well, this could be in the future. We don't have enough, but wouldn't we like to do? You see, the thinking process leads off. Moving stars, perhaps, moshing things. It all starts from a very small, insignificant moment in history where everything begins to align in the correct ratio. And before you know it, you will evolve. Into what? Yes, that's an interesting thing. And it helps you maybe better your technology. But this is often like a sequencing board. Which one do you need to press at the right ratio in order to... Yeah, when we look at the feeling spectrum, some activate the chakras, some deactivate it. For every single sequence that's connected, sure, it's gone through this filter, but then if it transitions through this filter, it will activate the chakra for the best feeling outcome. This one, douche. Internal, external. It's interesting, isn't it? Fascinating old world. Do you think gods get more and more slacker the more they come? If you believe all of the pyramids and everything else, gods are like, well, we'll be back soon. That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And then under this command, you maneuvered humanity this way.
Yeah.
And then the next time it's like, well, it's less maintenance this time, I suppose. Right, let's go. And then next time, could you imagine setting up the pieces for next time? With that much capability, you can utilize more, can't you? And then you have a benchmark to reach, which it's almost a catch up, isn't it? The more you put into the system, the more you catch up, and then everyone sort of takes it as natural. Whereas the ones before didn't have these capabilities, but these ones, they only dreamed of reaching those capabilities. Oh yes, ooh, little journeys, patterns, and everything else, tend to go in both ways. It can be good and it can be bad. So yes, gathering, yes, hunting, yes, all of that sort of rigmarole. Planet taught you this. But whose plan? Nature's? Oh, come on, we're going to need a few of these animals. We're also going to need these fingers. Come on, fingers. Come on, whatever you are. You're going to go for them, and they've got to outlast you. Yeah, that's fascinating. Next phase? Well, do you think life forms do squabble?
Yeah.
So what's the best icebreaker?
What is?
Well, it's the simplest to share, isn't it? Well, that seems obvious, but actually doing it is another thing entirely, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
So, yep, we can tell how those winter months are going to be. Brutal. Look, I'm up for you having this piece. You got to suck my toe, all right? But you got to suck my pinky. Oh. Okay, then. Oh, yeah? Well, if you want ours, then you have to dig this hole and fill this hole. Dig this hole and fill this hole 1,000 times. Well, if you want our piece, you're going to have to do this. Until you keep going, until you get, I'm not doing this! Yes, you will! No, you won't! Is that a pattern?
Yeah. Not a good pattern, is it?
Who can push it the most until there's resistance, and then there's...
Yeah.
Is that the only way it can go? Or can it merge between the two? Diagonal.
Yeah.
Just because it played out this way, does it always have to go that way?
No.
Can it go anyway?
Yeah.
But then doesn't that require for you to say, which way do we want it to go? Ah, yes. So how could we make this more of a easy process? We know, look at the engine. God, without oil, that thing, it will not last very long. Give it oil, lubrication, easy it up. Look at it. Wonderful. So you make an engine run more harmonious, don't you?
Yeah.
I don't think you should be putting oil in there. Why? What would you put in there? Well, I think you should put sand. You think it will last longer? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, a wives' tale, this one. Yeah, strange. Anyway, right, probably going to leave this one here. But yeah, just by the right people working together at the right ratio and all coming together at the same interval prepares the future and probably saves your ass a lot. And then could you imagine also a lot of growth added into this, forestry and other things? And then begin to find a way to maximize the balancing of gases. I think things get easier to balance when you're in space anyway. You always want to pull everything apart. Oh yeah. Will you still pull it apart if it's in a balloon? Of course I bloody will. Hang out. Wait a minute, I'll back later. All separate. Nice. Good. What can we do with this? Well, we can make it into something. Shit, me, you're acting like creators already. Look at that. It's going to be some fucked up universes you create. Your independent versions. And then what? Your collective versions. How big do you need a universe exactly? Do you go really big or do you go really small and make them really big, which makes them clumsy? Either way, still there's an advantage and disadvantage, but you would know the advantage. You'd map both. But still, which way would you opt if you could? Shrink?
Shrink people?
You shrink your species. If your species were to shrink down in size, yeah? So back in the day, butterflies giant, yes? Giant, all sorts of crustaceans and everything else, right? In the fossils.
Everything, and the plants and everything.
Everything was much bigger. But then it begins to shrink down. Well, if you're a life form that could be at one perspective really high and be that big, look at what you could destroy. But if you shrink down smaller, your resources get bigger. That's a funny way to look at it, but it is true. Size is often will determine whether, one, if you're seen, and being able to shrink down means more capability, right? If you go through a season of going very small, would you go small? I would. How much electronics could you build at that ratio, assuming that you could? By the time that you expand up with the bigger stuff, does the smaller stuff go into the bigger stuff? And if it does, is there a difference? So therefore, if you could forcefully squeeze a clone with the know-how of how to build all of that stuff in the maximum, you, the bigger vessel, right, with your little smaller vessels, your little smaller clones, this would be fucking amazing if you could do this. You could give them what they needed at their level to make an almost like factory at that ratio, yes? For all of the shit that's going in here. Smaller processor, but it is fucking mighty. I mean, just weird and wonderful stuff like that. I mean, it's a different perspective, right? But it means you cover all angles, and even if you were very large as well, do the processors actually indeed work better? No, because you then resources. If you get bigger, the resources get smaller. If you get smaller, the resources get bigger. So survival might mean something to get a lot smaller. Can you imagine them if they transition through that? They'll say, imagine the giants that built this place. But they're not far from the truth then, are they? but then you can get more into it. Not like sardines, worse. No. A lot of small stuff coming together that allows your life to exist right now. But if you could move your awareness to perspective, which is the size of an object, yes, all of the shit that's doing stuff, I mean, like down to a bacteria's awareness. I mean, to the large, all of that awareness is all happening at once. That's interesting. And all of that impulsive living. Do you think it wants to be?
Wants to be.
Yeah, the bacteria. Do you think it's got a good environment in there?
Yeah.
Does it last a lot longer? Seems like a good deal, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So everything seems to help everything else. But would you like to be the bacteria though? Come on.
No.
No. Why not? Too little awareness or?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know, but I think so.
Never mind quantum reality. Try, I don't know if it is really would be quantum reality. A device that if you were to get crazy with the brain stuff, technology gets better and better and better, more and more refined, more and more small, and more much to try and catch up with the mind.
Yeah.
And then becomes compatible. There's a bridge emerge. Just imagine that in the future. If we can continue the ratio that you're going, given enough time, it should begin to start to develop that way. No ifs or buts. Lost my train of thought on this one, but even still. Ooh, yes. Being able to shrink the awareness down of yours while living as you are now to what it feels like to exist at the awareness ratio and then zone back into your awareness. Do you think that could be done? To understand from the animal's perspective and awareness of life and be able to make yours feel it? What it's like. Do you ever often look at a bird and think, what's it like to be you?
Yeah. Yes, I do. At animals.
So that's a very deep question then, yes? So you could pictureize if that type of behavior and that questioning over and over, do you think they might start to merge over towards trying to create that? An actual reality for you? Shrink one down into one in its awareness but you retain the memory of that experience. That's the difference. It's an interesting sort of understanding. And then is there a difference in how fast it is? And the smaller you are with that awareness, is it more faster? And then does this teach you with that data how to adjust? Do you think data shares this way? Can it enhance you? Well, no, you learn, don't you? You learn more about the environment and everything else. So yeah. Other life forms, yourself, their perspective, what shapes their behavior, which is mainly the universe. But when you strip all of that away, is that where you would head? Fascinating. Tempered, yes? But whether it's good or not. Anyway, right, I'm going to leave this one here. There's nowhere I really wanted to go. I'm just cleaning out clutter, really. Oh, I lost my train of thought twice during that one.
Yes, you did.
I did. Awareness being able to etch this into the life packets, yeah? So imagine Einstein having 40 years worth. Etch this into the factor. It perhaps all ends. Perhaps it comes around again and it's followed an eerie similar blueprint. But he gets 40 years or 80 years in 40 years, and then 80 years worth of knowledge in 20 years. And then therefore what he was capable of doing in 80 years, he does in 20 years, and therefore should continue to, and therefore those first theories of his that you will publicize now, in this particular understanding of direction, that's all correct. But if he was to be given that for, that, let's say 80 years worth of knowledge crammed into that conclusion, with a to be continued on the end of it, and let's say he learned that in 80 years to come to that point. But he learns this in, 20 years. by the time he comes to notoriety, all of that stuff perhaps would have been garbage, but good enough. But his new process, his continuation of that, and then all of this stuff becomes absolutely groundbreaking and all the rest of it, and then compress again, keep expanding. And therefore, his genius then will always outsurpass, given enough time to go through the filters of the mind. It's a fascinating conclusion, isn't it? And then how much time is enough? And then do you feel that Einstein in his lifetime, let's say 80 years, was enough?
Was enough.
Yeah.
In what way was it?
So we try and understand how long could a human actually live for.
Yeah.
Well, do we judge it by the mind? It's more ancient. We shouldn't judge it by the senses of these and these. It's still catching up, right? The internal is quite much more evolved and advanced than the exterior. These senses just come second. Lost my train of thought. Again, done it again.
Yeah, it's. I think that it's quite. We are quite limited these. And this.
To find out the age of a life form. Sorry, yeah. So we look at the mind, more evolved. So if Einstein was still producing quality content at around 80, assuming that he died when he was 80, that would show that there was a continuation. Was it still going? Could it have still gone further? Well, to the mind, if we remove that restriction of the body, could we say yes? And then, okay, well, if he's capable of doing that in that many years, what happens if I give you 1,000 years? What happens if I give you 10,000 years? And the mind still keeps processing it. Okay, fair enough, right? We're not finished yet then. Then is 100,000 years enough? No, it's still continuing. It's evolving from one format, which then compress the data, expand the ratio, compress the data, expand the ratio, and finally, as we keep going on this process, it begins to carve and let go of really, but it was all very important to get to the journeying of that understanding. He had to be a lot of times wrong to be right. And to keep going with this refinement process, well, then how old is the mind? Okay, fine. What could it capable of living for? Under God mode injection, right? Full on. No limits. Everything is free. Don't worry. Just keep existing. It's going to shape the mind more so, and until maybe it subsides. But has it subsided, or because the individual has subsided for a bit? And then off they go again. Okay, now we're seeing a pattern here. Okay, so there seems to be a considerable chunk of this, which comes to a main conclusion, and then a divergence point occurs. That would be an interesting thing, wouldn't it? So for X amount of time, it takes you this long to create a breakthrough. Okay, that's one. Then it happens again. Okay, now there's two. Okay, now there's three. Now this is just tracking one individual given enough time. Now what happens if you take all of the bright sparks from your planet and you do this? And they begin to have an alignment. This is fascinating. They have an alignment process. Do you reckon it will lead to an alignment where they all align? All of these refinements begin to align them in a particular fraction of awakening, perhaps, where they combine all of their information together and then begin the role that's independent. And in an alignment. Do you think there will be an alignment? Which would then be on par with this, okay, every trimester, this happens, okay, this happens. And what would be the further pattern on that? Well, it's unknown because, again, unless you're into resurrecting and bringing back your dead as opposed to making loads, you know, this would be for every vessel. which is a very fascinating sort of process. But there again, you get to pick and choose that. In this one, we'll have all of these ones. In these ones, we'll have the which one, without all of the noise, which one could be tweaked to have the best environment, to create the best amount of cognitive, I can't even say it. Cognitive, there we are, processing power. And then how much time would be needed for that? Okay, how can I optimize it? If I optimize it, these alignment process happens more and more frequent. Can I speed that process up? Rather than this long, can we shrink it down to this long? So that it's every trimester. Doosh, 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 doosh. Would you tweak life? That would be tweaking life, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But it would also be knowing it quite a bit, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Or tapping into, or females, gentlemen, all across the board in this ratio. Yeah, fascinating. Yeah, awakening's weird. So, how old? Well, that force inside you seems quite capable of continuing for quite a long time, it would seem. And then it seems that is the body limited? And it seems, yes, very much so. Can it stay limited? No. Is it accident or is it on purpose? It's more like accidentally on purpose. Don't know how you're going to sit with that, but oh, interesting. Right, well, I'm going to leave it there, but yeah, that's it. That's it for me.